Do you find yourself constantly chasing happiness, running on that hedonic treadmill, but still never really feeling satisfied? Well, you're not alone. And guess what? This very pursuit, this chase, might be what's keeping you from getting it. You see, happiness is not a one-time destination. It's actually a complex journey. And we often stumble on the path, being distracted by short-lived pleasures. Or we get trapped in these endless loops of, I'll be happy when type of statements. You know what I'm talking about. Now, you might not realize this, but happiness exists on kind of a spectrum. You see, on one end, there are those quick hits of joy, tasty dessert, a new gadget, a new phone, a social media like. They're good. They're very good. But this is not sustainable. This is not enough. On the other hand, let's call this authentic happiness. This is rooted in deep relationships, a sense of purpose, and your own individual personal growth. So if you're tired of chasing these mirages and want to embark on a fulfilling journey towards lasting happiness, I promise you, that is a thing. Stay tuned. Together, we're going to navigate the pitfalls and discover the pillars to build a life that's not just happy in that fleeting sense, but authentically joyous. So let me talk about this spectrum of happiness first. I said earlier, happiness is not a one-size-fits-all concept. Everyone seems to keep running around like it's this thing that applies to everyone in the same way. It exists on this spectrum that ranges from basic, momentary pleasures to deep, sustained fulfillment. And understanding this spectrum is critical, let me tell you that, because what might seem like happiness on the surface may not contribute to fulfillment or long-term well-being. Now, Martin Seligman is a renowned psychologist and one of the founders of positive psychology, outlined this model of happiness called PERMA, P-E-R-M-A. Now, this stands for positive, emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishments. You see, each of these components in PERMA represents a point of range along this spectrum of happiness, going from fleeting positive emotions, time to time, one-hit wonders, to a deep, really deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. Now, studies also show, such as the GRAND study, actually one of the longest running longitudinal studies on adult development, reveal that relationships, purpose, and adaptability are some of the most important factors contributing to lifelong fulfillment and happiness. In fact, this study debunks the myth that material success alone leads to happiness. So understand where you currently stand on this spectrum of happiness. Then expand your range. Don't just seek quick momentary pleasures. Sure, they can be good from time to time, but don't just seek them. Strive for deeper, more meaningful forms of happiness. Then find a balance that incorporates the various types of happiness into like a more holistic sense of well-being. Now, I want to talk about the pitfalls of this chase of happiness. See, while the chase of happiness is a kind of a natural and it's a laudable goal, it comes with its own set of challenges and pitfalls. Often the very pursuit, the very chase itself becomes the barrier. It becomes the biggest barrier to achieving true happiness. So understanding these pitfalls can help us navigate towards so much more fulfilling life. Now, one of the seminal works highlighting this paradox is called Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert, who's a psychologist, a Harvard psychologist. And Gilbert points out that humans are notoriously bad at predicting what will make them happy in the future. Notoriously bad at that. Our pursuit often leads us down these paths that seem promising at the time we think of them, but ultimately they don't bring us the joy we expect. Let me give you an example here, okay? Let's consider, say, a lady called Emma. And Emma is like this high-achieving professional who believes that happiness is directly tied to her career success. She works tirelessly, sacrificing her personal relationships, and even her health, believing that the next promotion or the next achievement at work will finally make her happy. You ever know anyone like that? But here's the issue. Each accomplishment, each time she achieves, only brings that momentary satisfaction. And then it's followed by a new set of goals and this persistent feeling of unhappiness, this void, this gap. So see, Emma falls into this hedonic treadmill. This is a term from psychology that describes the phenomena of continuously chasing happiness, but never really achieving that ongoing, permanent state of well-being, that inner knowing. So the key takeaways here is, number one is awareness. Recognize these pitfalls in this chase for happiness. You see, this relentless pursuit can be so counterproductive, in fact. Step two, reevaluate your goals now that you know this. You see, not all that glitters is gold. What you think will make you happy may not necessarily do so in the long run. So really reevaluate these goals. Where are they coming from? Three, balance. Focus on a well-rounded life that incorporates different elements like relationships, purpose, self-compassion, very, very important, rather than just personal achievements or material gains for that matter. Now I want to share about the pillars of authentic happiness. I mentioned authentic happiness earlier. Let's talk about the pillars of that. You see, if this pursuit, this chase of happiness is full of pitfalls, then what really leads us to a more authentic, lasting happiness? Well, research and philosophy suggests that there are foundational pillars that serve as the building blocks for achieving this sort of deeper sense of happiness and fulfillment. I spoke about the PERMA model earlier, PERMA. This is a very helpful framework here because according to Seligman, true happiness is a combination of more often experiencing positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and of course, accomplishment as well. A lot of studies in positive psychology support these components that I just mentioned as being so important to this authentic happiness thing that I'm talking about. Let me talk about another example here. Let's say someone called Sophia, right? A woman who, not like Emma, but she does strive for a balanced approach to life. She enjoys her work, but she also values her relationships, engages in activities that give her this deep sense of purpose. She volunteers at a local shelter, maybe spends quality time with family and friends, maintains a strong emotional and social support network. And Sophia also sets aside time for personal growth, for her own development, takes courses to not just advance only for work, but also to satisfy her own curiosity and expand her horizons. Yes, Sophia's definitely got this PERMA model approach. She's embodying it if she's doing those things. Let's break that down. Positive emotions. She's finding joy in both her accomplishments, but also her relationships. More opportunity for experiencing positive emotions. Engagement, right? She's immersing herself truly in her work, even in her relationships and her volunteer. She's engaged, she's immersed. No, she's not dabbling. Relationships, Sophia, she cultivates and maintains these strong connections with people. Might be just few, right? But they're meaningful. Now let's talk about meaning. Her work and including her volunteering provides her with this sense of purpose, which is ultimately what we're all looking for. And of course, accomplishment. She does set and achieve goals, and those goals, by the way, align with her true values, not just other people's or society's measures of success. See, understanding and implementing these pillars of authentic happiness can truly offer us a roadmap towards a more fulfilling, balanced, and ultimately happier life. I did say it's complex happiness, but at the same time, it's not rocket science. It's just a formula. We can all get there. And we balance these key elements that I've spoken about in this video, we move closer, faster to achieving this state. I want to call this the state of well-being that is not just satisfying, it's sustainable. It's not like up and down, up and down. It's like this gentle wave. So type in comments which one of these pillars you can apply right now in order to move towards this sustainable state that we call happiness. I'll see you in the next video very soon.